summer this year on the Cloud Garden was absolutely glorious. The garden looked stunning. But now we're moving into November and the garden is not quite looking the same. But there are some gems to be found. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It has been a hot minute since I last had a chat with you guys on the balcony. So let's get straight into it. It's October/November at the moment, and believe it or not, I've still got quite a few blooms on this garden. As you can see through all of my containers, I've mixed in quite a lot of perennials. Now, the goal is next year, I don't want to have to do any work. I've left gaps in the pots for either bulbs or seasonal bedding, but for the most part, everything is perennial. And to top it off, most of the plants on here are drought tolerant. That way I really have to do little work. You may remember my tomatoes from earlier on in the year. Unfortunately, they got demolished by whitefly. However, the plants did grow back, and I'm still lucky enough to be able to have a harvest. Okay, well, it might be November, but the tomatoes are still going. So I've got some red, I have some golden tomatoes here. These need to be harvested, to be honest. And I even have some more down there. And these are my Scotch bonnets. So you can see just how big this has gotten since I planted it. And once again, I do have a couple to harvest just here as well. I still have a couple of jalapenos to go too. I'm really happy with this. Now I've got two more peppers. I've got one here and one here. These two have been blocked by the light here, so they've not had as much sunlight as the other two peppers. But it's fine. Oh, actually, hold on. Yeah, so there's a little bit of fruit there. And this one's actually still flowering. But that's fine. I just need to make sure that these two survive for next year as well. My tumbling variety of tomatoes are still going as well. And then one of the funniest things that's still going at the moment is this. Now, this vine is coming all the way up from my raised bed here, which is just an old plastic tote. And this is going all the way up the arch. It's got up to about here. And believe it or not, this is actually a sweet potato. So at some point in here, I've actually got some sweet potatoes. But even funnier than that, if we take a closer look here and also here, these are actually Malabar spinach. Now, funnily enough, I didn't actually sow those Malabar spinach this year. That's from last year. So they've taken a whole year to actually germinate. For some reason, they've chosen November to come up. Like, it makes no sense whatsoever. Now, speaking of seedlings, I've got Renegade and nasturtiums all over the garden. And these, I think, have self-seeded from this window box up here. So I've got some in there, and I also have some in this container here. But the most frustrating part is if we take a little closer look, you'll see these nasturtiums are completely infested. And they've actually moved on to one of my favorite salvias I have on the garden as well. So they are munching their way through everything. Chat, I swear it's like a never-ending battle on this garden. I think the saddest loss on this garden happens to be my passion fruit vine. So you can see it all the way across. Normally it does go dormant this time of the year, but I actually think that this is pretty much dead, because normally I would see some form of bud at the nodes, and I just don't see that any way along. Now, I've had this passion fruit vine for about 3 years, so the fact that it's died, I'm really upset. One example of this is my grapevine. As you can see, she's shed all of her leaves bar these. But if we look a little bit closer, again, we can see the buds, and these are all going to be next year's vines. So I know, of course, and plus we still have a bit of greenery here. So I know that this plant is still alive. This will be fine. Over the course of winter, those buds will get bigger and bigger until spring, when it's ready to get going all over again. This clematis flowered this year, and it's died back completely. This got demolished by aphids. However, for some reason, it's decided to regrow. So there's some here, and you can see it in the back there. For some reason, it's begun to climb back up and onto this trellis here. And the second clematis, for some reason, has stayed green all throughout, and it's done really well. I'm guessing that next year this one is going to be an absolute beast, because it's just been collecting all of these rays. And interestingly, you can see that I've still got some flowers coming in from these black-eyed Susans. But what if I was to tell you that the plant actually doesn't come from this pot? It has come all the way, you can see actually down the bottom there, it's also climbing up the trellis. You can see it's gone all the way across that raised bed, decided to climb up here, but the plant itself is actually in this pot. So it's climbing all the way up the arch, doing whatever it wants to do, but it's also sent shoots all across the garden. So I'm like, guys, if you want to grow, you just do your own thing. These things are crazy. Look, you can even see the vine here. Oh, that's the tip of the vine. And then just below, these are self-seeded sweet peas. So these guys have just decided to regrow, and I'm like, oh, well, you've saved me a job. So those will give me some early blooms next year. My wisteria is not looking too healthy, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of a chopping back here in order to encourage it to take over more of the arch. What you see here is actually corn. Now these are baby corn. They're small varieties of corn. They've been absolutely battered by some of the storms that we've been having. So you can see how ropey they are. But actually, I would guess that maybe this is ready to harvest. Remember earlier in the year I planted the foxglove? Well, she did not flower at all, but just look at how big this thing has gotten. All it's done is absolutely smothered everything else. So this poor old GM never got the chance to flower because of this giant foxglove. Look at it, the leaves are huge. And it's not just this one. So the one over here, once again, huge, but not flowered. And then over here I've got my dahlia. I'm going to cut this back and dig up the tuber, I reckon. And then something that's really interesting is the hellebore this year. You saw it earlier this year. It flowered for the first time this year. But for some reason, Muscari has decided to come up here. It was just in this container over there. So you can see the Muscari over there. That's come back. But for some reason it's self-seeded over here, right on top of the hellebore. So it is what it is at this moment in time. And then I've got lots of different pots of echinacea, which again is doing okay. And then over here, this at the start of the year, I showed you Leona. She was the huge bleeding heart. So what I'm going to do is chop this back. But, you know, I will give her credit because she only really died in around about July, September. July or August. And normally she's the first thing to flower and then the first thing to disappear. But she really hung around. So I'm going to cut her back ready for next year. And then this right here is my white cloud philitricum. Now this is so tall, it's massive. It flowered, it did really well. I chopped it back and now it seems to be making some new growth there again. And then the Brunnera hasn't really gone away. Now the Brunnera was getting overtaken by the philitricum, so I'm going to have to split this up, I reckon, and move that away. My container ponds are doing amazingly well. And if we take a look at the fish pond, even though it's November, the fish are still pretty active. Normally, come winter, they slow down and then they go down towards the bottom of the pond. But these guys, they are living it up in this winter sun. This here is my edible pond. This is available on my website. So of course you can order one of these. It comes with all the plants, the soil, the basket and the pond itself. All you have to do is plant it up, add water, and there you go. Now this was absolutely demolished by aphids when I was away. But now look at it, it's come back in full force. So I've got the sorrel here. We've got the Javinica flamingo over here. And this new leaf is the taro. And everything in there is edible. You can see the pollinator pond is over here. This really does need a top up. So the water level should be up to here. But as a whole, the barred horsetail, you can see just how well this is doing. I mean, look at this. I really need to cut it back. And then if we take a look here, the marsh marigolds, they are beginning to make a resurgence. So I ended up having to cut that back because it wasn't doing too good. And then I have a hooty chameleon. I've had to cut that back quite a bit because it was not looking very great at all. But again, come spring, it will all come back to life. And I can just tell that next year, this pond is going to go crazy. Again, this is available on my website as well. Now in the struggle bus corner, somehow this oxalis has just decided to grow here, and it's the biggest oxalis I've ever had on here. That's doing well. And look, I thought that this lupin had had its day, and all of a sudden, over the past couple of weeks, it's just come back to life. And it's so funny to me. Somehow we can be so quick to throw plants away, and that's why I love the struggle bus corner. I put everything in here that's looking ropey and just see if it will come back. And yeah, look at this lupin. So I'm gonna have to find a new spot for that. But part of me thinks, let me just leave it there whilst it's doing good. Let me know below what you would do. Would you just leave it there, or would you plant it somewhere else? Look, even more Renegade nasturtiums. Let me know how you got on with your garden this year, and let me know what you are planning for your garden next year. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, don't forget to like this video, share it, and hopefully I will see you all again very, very soon. Bye! In the next balcony video, I'm going to be showing you how to split some of your perennials to make your plants go further. Hopefully I will see you all again very, very soon. Bye!